Welcome into the Modcast. Jeffrey Lee, Cole Pinkston, Justin Hokanson. It's SEC week. Auburn jumps into preseason's over. I say that Auburn lost a game, but it's whatever. It's preseason. This is conference play. We're getting into the things. Real quick before we get started, shout out to Session Cocktail, sponsor of the show. Go check them out. Downtown Auburn, Magnolia Avenue. A great place to go have a happy hour drink. Drinks before and after the game. They got a cocktail for a cause every month, so go check that out. I think this month it's supporting the local basketball team, the Auburn Raptors, like the AU team. That changes every month, so that's kind of cool. So go check them out and look at that. You can kind of support a local cause there as well. They do trivia on Tuesdays and bingo on Wednesdays. We will be live again Friday afternoon, 4 to 5. Auburn Live Happy Hour show. It was awesome last week. A bunch of people popped on and asked questions. We just talked about the game, talked about Hank Brown. I'll answer literally as many questions as we can. Cole will pop on when he can. If he can't, I know he's busy doing games and all that good stuff. So it was a lot of fun. So make sure and remember to do that 4 to 5. Hop on the YouTube channel and watch Auburn Live Happy Hour. And we appreciate Session for being a sponsor of the show.
Get the gold rush. You got to get the gold rush.
The gold rush is good.
If you're like me and you like beer, they do have Miller High Life.
Hey.
Oh,
Wow.
Oh, you're getting fancy.
Fancy. Look at Cole.
And while you're at Sessions, download the Prize Picks app. Go to prizepicks.com. Make your picks, man. If you're not familiar with Prize Picks is the #1 daily fantasy sports, try saying that fast, platform in North America. The easiest and most exciting way to play DFS. That's a lot better if it's just you against the numbers. Instead of battling thousands of other players, including pros and sharks, you pick more or less on 2 to 6 players, stat projections, and watch the winnings roll in, as I have the past few weeks. Been on a freaking tear, man. Yeah, Prospect is the most fun. It really is the most fun I've had winning some money in football season. You just select 2 or more players, like we said, pick more or less, and it's quick withdrawals, easy gameplay, and an enormous selection of players and stat types that's what makes Prospects #1. So, and they've got a promo code, $50 once you play, $5 in lineups. Use the promo code Auburn Live. Go to prospects.com or download the app. Use the promo code Auburn Live. They'll send you $50 once you play $5 in lineups. So go to prospects.com or upload the app, download the app, whatever you do. Use the promo code Auburn Live to receive a guaranteed $50 once you play $5 in lineups. This week, fellas, got some Auburn flavor. Let's talk. The more or less, the projected stat line for Hank Brown, for Mr. Henry, 227.5. 227.5. I think he threw for 235 last week in the rain against New Mexico. And to go along with that, Jarquez Hunter stat line projection, 91.5 rushing yards. So
if they go over both of those, they're going to win.
Yeah, I think so.
Just FYI. I'm not sure.
I think he threw over 235 last week. Was it 230?
235.
I outthink myself with these every time, but I'm going to go, if I was picking, I would go less on Hunter, 91.
Okay.
I'll go more on Hank Brown, 227. Is that what you said?
227.5.
Give me more on that.
All right. I'm going more on that and less on Hunter. Okay, how about these? Jarquez Hunter, 9.5 yards receiving.
If he runs the right route, I'll say over.
Do you
Love him.
Do you think he'll score a touchdown? His touchdown total is 0.5.
Yeah, I do.
I think so too.
It's hard to say under 0.5. It's hard to say he won't score. He might not score, but it's hard to say.
It's a risk if you were to take the under on that. The less.
Yeah.
Keandre Lambert-Smith, 39.5 receiving yards.
Yeah. He's been
way
getting
over that so far. He's been almost, his average yards per catch is over 20.
Yeah. I say yes on that one.
More on that. Let's see. Rivaldo Fairweather, 30.5 receiving yards.
Yeah. I go under. I can't bet on him.
That was close.
He's not consistent enough for me to gamble on.
I completely agree. I'm going to leave them out. So this is what I'm going to do. This is the Auburn Live Modcast Prize Pick selections for this week. We're going more on Hank Brown, 227.5. We're going less 91.5 rushing yards for Jarquez. We're going more. We're saying that Jarquez scores a touchdown one way or the other, receiving or rushing. And we're going to go more on Keandre Lambert-Smith, 39.5 receiving yards.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like
And I mean, listen, when you do the more players you choose, the higher your multiplier is in winnings. So I've got 5 picks. 1, 2, 3, 4. Where's my other one? Oh, I picked let me get that guy off. Some Illinois running back. So I'm going to risk $20 to win 120. So $100 right there. I'm going to submit that lineup, big dog. It's that easy. Lineups must include at least 2 players from 2 different teams. Hey, that's good. You know why? Because there's a free block this week in the NFL. If you'll go to NFL, Caleb Williams passing yards 0.5. So if he just completes a pass, a forward pass, you win. So I'm going Caleb Williams. Let's go to that. 5 picks now. $20 to win 180. See if they'll let me do that. I think so. Drinks at Sessions on me if it hits.
Oh, there we go.
Oh, wow.
Whew. All right, let's get into this game a little bit. I always looking at the game notes heading into the game. There's always some interesting things. So Auburn is 25-6 and in their last 31 SEC openers. 25-6 in their last 31 SEC opening games. They've won. I don't even know what Arkansas. They've owned Arkansas lately. I'd have to go back and look, but I mean, the last 15 years, they've pretty much owned the series. They're 20-12 all time. Let's see. They're
Actually, I wrote that in something. Let me go find it real quick.
It's a lot to a little. The last 10-15 years. Here I'll set this up the way I think, and then you guys tell me what you think. Unfortunately, you would hope Auburn they're gonna get to the point where a game like this isn't a big game per se. Like, it's an SEC game, but Arkansas, most people think they're the 13th or 14th best team in the league. And at some point, Auburn will get to the point where you're not entering this game saying, this is a big game, this is a critical game. Unfortunately, Auburn's not there yet. And so it's a big game, and it's a critical game to this season. Auburn's now a 3-point favorite. So that was 5.5 when it opened last Sunday, dropped to 3, over under 56.5. It's just a big game, man. You already lost to Cal. You don't win this game with what's ahead, and you're going to be favored against Vanderbilt. You'll be favored against La Monroe. And that literally could be it the rest of the way. Maybe A&M at the end of the year. It depends on kind of what happens with A&M. As of right now, they wouldn't be, but who knows? But you're looking at 2 games probably where you're the favorite the rest of the way.
Yep.
Auburn cannot lose this game. If they lose this game, they are staring at 6-6. It could be 5-7,
maybe 6-6.
Yeah. I mean, that becomes not bad if you lose this game. If you lose this game, getting to 7, if you lose this, seems like an uphill battle. So, like, at some point, this won't be a big game where you're playing the 13th or 14th best team in the league, and it's and you go in and take care of business. But right now, Auburn's not there, and it's a huge game, man. It just is. It is what it is. This team is at the point where it's one game at a time. Win the game. Take some confidence. Try to get some confidence in Oklahoma. Deal with that next week. How do you see it, Jeffrey?
I think I said on one of these shows the same thing you just said, Justin, which was Auburn is not going to be favored. It's going to take upsets to get bowl eligible. You're looking at there'll be underdogs. There'll be dogs to Oklahoma. There'll be dogs to Georgia. Where's the rest of them? Oh, here we go.
Missouri,
dogs
Kentucky.
to Georgia, dogs to Missouri, dogs to A&M, dogs to Alabama. That's definite. That's 5. That's 6-6 right there. If you lose all 5 of those when you're underdog. Kentucky, I think, is a toss-up. Right? Yep. I mean, what Kentucky are you going to get? Are you going to get the Kentucky versus South Carolina? are you going to get the Kentucky versus Georgia?
Yeah.
Right.
And then Vandy, listen, I don't care what year it is or what kind of rebuild job it is at Auburn, you don't lose to Vanderbilt.
No, you
I'm
can't.
sorry. So you're looking at the remaining schedule. If you don't win at Arkansas and you lose the ones you're supposed to lose and you win the one that we're even on the fence about, I see Kentucky, Vanderbilt, Kentucky being a fence line game, Kentucky, Vanderbilt, La Monroe. You got 3 more wins on this schedule that you might be favored for. So you're looking at what, 5-6 wins.
Yep.
Got to have this one, man. Got to have this one. This is a must win. Kentucky's a must win. Vanderbilt's a must win. La Monroe's a must win. That gets you to 6.
Yep. Yeah, and the Cal one's just going to sting. I don't know if they're going to be able to make up for that. I think my 8-4 prediction's pretty much out the window. We'll see. Like the next 2 weeks will tell a lot on that, but it's hard for me to think. To me, the Cal loss drops everything for me. It drops my overall by a game. They haven't gotten into conference play, so I guess they could still go 4-4.
The Cal game was that swing game between the Las Vegas over-under win total of 7.5 for me. Like, that was Auburn's chance to get the over. That was Auburn's chance to get to 8. And if you walk out of Cal with a win and some confidence, then who knows? Auburn's probably a 8 or 9 point favorite going in this weekend, not 3.5 or a half a point when you take away the 3 for home field. That Cal game's like Justin. Yes, the Cal game hurts, and it will.
Yeah, that was a big one. This one to me, I don't have a lot of confidence for Auburn. I don't like the way it lines up. I do, however, think that Auburn's going to improve after this game and continue to improve as the season goes on because of the youth that's having to play a lot, especially at receiver, D-line, that kind of stuff. So I expect improvement from Auburn, but and a lot of people looked at the schedule this year and thought, and we even said it's more favorable, but the way it lined up for what you were having to do in year 2 of your rebuild, you're trying to get your new receivers all, your quarterback situation wasn't right. We still don't even know if it's right. We think it might be trending in the right direction. I think the reason why I don't have much confidence for Auburn is because I don't know a lot about Auburn.
There you go.
And what I know about Arkansas is that they have faced the best running back in the country, maybe, in Ollie Gordon, and they held him to 54 yards. And they threw for 400 yards in that game. Arkansas did. So they've had a really nice test. I think Oklahoma State's legit. Good enough to say, hey, go check that game out. Watch how Arkansas played. It means something. And they played well. Should have won the game. They didn't. Maybe there's something to be said for that, though. I mean, there is something to be said for walking away from a game with the win, and I don't care who the opponent is. Right now, college football is ugly across the board, minus a few teams that are taking care of business week to week. And walking away with the win's a big deal. Arkansas didn't do that against Oklahoma State, but they played them well. So that makes you go, all right, so I know some things about Arkansas. You look at Auburn, you're like, what a mystery team. Yeah. Even for us who cover the team, I just don't know what they're going to do. I don't have any confidence in saying they're this identity or that identity. I have a little bit of confidence after watching film and saying Hank Brown looks pretty comfortable, but we don't know what he'll be in this situation. And we know Travis Williams for Arkansas is going to send pressure, although he doesn't really do that a whole lot. Hit 28% pressure rate against the drop back of who they played last week, UAB, who threw it 48 times. So that was surprising to me to learn. I don't know. I think he sends more heat this week because he knows. He knows about Auburn. He knows about Hank Brown, and we'll see. I don't know. I don't know how to feel about it.
Yeah, Arkansas is a little bit of I'm kind of with you. I'm not sure. Talented quarterback. There's some things in this game that worry me, though. There's a couple of things that stand out. And again, I take it with a grain of salt because I think there's certainly some unknown with both teams to some degree. So you're not sure how legit the stats are. But Arkansas holding opponents to 61 yards rushing, not great for an Auburn team that has not been dominant through the first 3 games. They've showed flashes. They have not been dominant. And you've taken into account how important the run game is, not just in general, but especially for a redshirt freshman quarterback starting game 2. The run game has to work. Arkansas's got some big defensive linemen, some pretty good players. So that is a little bit of a concern. Did Auburn figure something out last week? Is Arkansas legit on the front and stopping the run? That's a concern. Obviously, another talented quarterback who's athletic, more athletic than the 2 you just played. This dude's an actual runner. He's not just a scrambler. He's averaging 81 yards rushing a game. Like he's fast. He can run. So that's a concern. Have you figured out what you want to do defensively, whether it's blitz a little bit more, or whether it's whatever the deal is? Have you figured something out where the guy can't just kind of move out of the pocket with ease and give him a little bit extra time? And have you figured something out there? That's a little worry. Arkansas is first in the country in third down conversions so far, 67%. That is something that, at least in the first half of the last 2 games, Auburn's been terrible. Auburn's given up 60% on third down in the first half of the last 2 games. Now they've fixed their issues in the second half. They've been terrible in the first half, Auburn's defense, and they've basically cut the opponent's production in half across the board in the second half. But that's a little concerning. Arkansas has been really good on third downs. Auburn has not been good on third downs in the first half. So those couple of things are a little bit worrisome. Now, Arkansas's got a couple of DBs that look like they're out, according to the availability report on Wednesday night.
Yeah,
that's good for Auburn. We heard Hugh Freeze talk about Arkansas playing a pretty aggressive man. He's like, they'll play man and they won't bail. So a couple of starting DBs out. That's not a bad thing, obviously, for Hank and these receivers. But the run game stats interesting. Is Arkansas a legit run defense like that? If they are, pretty big test for Hank game 2 if the run is not really getting going. And then another super athletic quarterback. Have you figured some things out on defense? I posted on the board, if Auburn can fix the first half issues a little bit on defense, I'm not saying they got to dominate, but just don't be so bad. And you can't give up 300 yards and a half to New Mexico in the first half. I mean, that's crazy. If they can play a little bit better in the first half, continue on with their adjustments that they've been making, and then also not commit turnovers, I like their chances. I think they're in good shape. But like if they play another first half like they've been playing defensively, and the running game doesn't start clicking, they could be losing at halftime, and then you got a lot of pressure. If they do that and then also are turning the ball over, they're gonna be playing from behind. So there's just a couple of things I think that first quarter is going to be really, really interesting. Like I think we'll know some things after that first quarter, sort of who's for real, who's not. I think we'll know some things, but there's just a couple of things that make me not Auburn's not the underdog, but before the season, I thought if Auburn comes out, they're going to have to, if they're not focused, it could be a dogfight. That's what I wrote in my preseason. Hey, this is a game where if you're not focused, this is going to be, now it's just straight up going to be a dogfight. Not even about if you're not focused the way Auburn's played. It's just going to be a dogfight, and they can't commit turnovers. I think they'll be okay. But Arkansas, it worries a little bit. I mean, I absolutely could be this thing going into the fourth quarter and it's a 1-score game. I mean, I would totally almost expect that.
Yeah. I think there are a lot of concerns, but I think there are a couple of favorable things that I wanted to at least touch on. Even though as good as Devin Dampier was for New Mexico, they could not capitalize on a lot of things against Auburn's defense, and maybe that was their fault, but it's at least a good trend. And I think you're facing a different quarterback in Taylor Green, but hey, something I have seen from Taylor Green on film, he will throw it to the other team. He will do that.
That'd be preferred.
He will. He's only thrown 2 interceptions, but they were bad. At least one of them that I saw was really, really bad. So he's got that in him where he will throw one to the other team. He's a runner. He's not great at staying in the pocket. Doesn't really that's not his comfort zone where he's in the pocket just slinging it. And I felt like when you have a guy that's like that and he stays in the pocket and he extends the play that way and he's pinpoint accurate like Mendoza was for Cal, I don't think Auburn's coverage and pass rush is good enough to handle that all day. I think that's a loss in the game because then you're relying on your offense to outscore, and I just don't know if I can say that right now. So I think it's favorable that he is a runner, believe it or not. I think it helps Auburn a little bit. And I don't think they'll be in this 3-man front. I don't think they can afford to because Arkansas likes to throw a lot of tight ends in the formation and try to stay in 12 personnel if they can. So, a couple of favorable things to me. You might get your edges back in Jalen McLeod and Keyron Crawford, get them back down. And everybody talks about them pinning their ears back. Sure. But did you watch Jalen McLeod set the edge last year? He's good at that. He can really change the defense with that, and they're not doing it right now. That's my biggest concern.
Biggest concern. Whew. A lot of them. Seeing how Auburn's defense handled Dampier last week, the third down conversions probably concerning the most. Their success with doing so and Auburn's lack of success, especially in the first half. We've seen what DJ Durkin can do in the second half. Unfortunately, we've seen what he can do in the first half.
Yep.
Curious to see what the scheme is this weekend, how he's going to combat Arkansas's offense. And then on offensively, is Hank Brown good? I don't know. I want to see him.
I think he can do a lot of things, but it's not, Peyton Thorne can do a lot of things. Can you do it in pressure situation? That's where Auburn's having issues. And we have not seen Hank Brown in a real. Now, again, with New Mexico, you did have some situations where it was like, hey, if you don't convert here or if you don't find a way to score on this drive, Auburn's in trouble. So there were some situations in that game because it was still 17-10 or 17-13.
It was a one-score game.
Yeah, it was a one-score game, so you had to put something together, and that's a little bit of pressure, but not like you're about to face. It's going to be different, and we don't know how to assess that with Hank Brown yet at all, and it's just a mystery, so you don't know. You know what Arkansas is going to try to do. They're going to try to go after him and make him beat you.
Yeah, if you're Travis Williams and you've got a true freshman quarterback redshirt freshman quarterback starting his second game, first SEC, you're not going to sit back there and give him time. And the better question for Hank Brown should be not is he good, but is he ready?
Right. Is he ready?
Is he ready?
Which is why I think Auburn will improve after this game, win or lose. I do. If they don't, if you lose and hang your head, that's different. But I think they have the ability to improve after this game because Hank Brown is going to get that under his belt. I think he's going to be fine. And I think the defense is okay, is fine. They're okay. They just depth is an issue. So how do you overcome that? Exactly. That's my question. I don't think we're going to see Gage Keys and Trill Carter in the lineup in a game like
clearly.
This.
I mean, when you don't even play against New Mexico, I mean, those guys played, I think, 3 snaps each or something against New Mexico. And that's pretty telling. I mean,
yeah.
Dang.
Yeah, they're not going to play.
Pretty bad. I mean, whatever's going on, that tells a lot right there. Man, it's such a huge game for this is a huge game for this team. It's just a huge game. Not even just for the reasons we're talking about the record and trying to improve your record.
Yeah.
For Hank Brown, for whatever this team's going to be, this is the game where they either take a step, they take a big step, and they go, okay. Like Hank, they figured a little bit of loud. Hank just took a step forward, start to figure some things out. You take momentum into Oklahoma, or it looks like Cal again, and maybe you still win, but you go, man, there's just still issues. There's mistakes happening. It's a big game to show improvement and development. Whatever this team's going to do this season, I feel like you're going to know after this game.
Yeah.
And that's what it feels like. I don't know. Maybe I'm overselling it, but it just feels like if they go, either they're going to go out and kind of mess around and they win, but you're like, I don't know how good they look. They squeaked out a win. And then the rest of the season just sort of looks the same. It's limbo, or they take a big step forward. I think we'll probably see things on both sides of the ball that we haven't seen. Probably, maybe it's more pressure from the deep. I think you'll start to find out more. I'm just really interested to see Hank. You mentioned the pressure. He had no sacks. He wasn't sacked at all. He had 2 third-down passes against New Mexico. That's it. So he was asked to throw the ball twice on third down. Completed one. Another was incomplete. Wasn't pressured a ton. So he wasn't back there, in duress, and so
Yeah.
it's not like he had to make 7-8 third down throws and big checks. And so that's going to be a huge test. We heard he graded out 100% on checking to runs. It was pretty good overall. Freeze said he made a few bad passes, a few bad decisions. But yeah, I just think we're going to find out a ton. You mentioned the edges. Amaris Williams is questionable on the availability report. We didn't know that. Champ Anthony is a little bit up in the air. I think he's probable. So there's a couple guys outside of Xavion Miller, Cam Coleman, and Kayan Lee that we weren't quite sure about.
At the practice viewing, if that means anything, they were not in yellow jerseys, so they were participants. I don't know. Maybe something's happened as practice has gone on, but we did see them practicing. So that probably is a good sign if they haven't gotten hurt since Tuesday or Wednesday, whenever that was.
Yeah, and they'll update that again Thursday night at 7. They update it Friday night at 7. And then Saturday, I think 90 minutes before kickoff, something like that.
Yeah.
So other than Brandon Frazier being out, Cam Coleman, I would expect to be back. Xavion Miller, we're not sure. So that remains to be seen.
Yeah, but even if he is, do they stay with the lineup they had since there were no pressures on the quarterback? I mean, even if it's New Mexico, it's something to build off of, right?
Yeah, I think you made a point, and I wrote about it too. I agree with you. I looked it up on Pro Football Focus, and I'm like, there's something to it. I mean, 9 guys have played 40 or more snaps already on the offensive line. Like, that's a pretty good amount. 40 plus snaps in 3 games is a good a number, and 9 guys have gotten that. And so you got some guys, some experience, whether it was Braden Joyner stepping up, Ronan Chambers has played, and of course Tate Johnson, and then you got all your regulars. So yeah, that will be interesting to see if they stay with Dylan Wade out there, even if Miller's like probably could go. Do they maybe toss that unit out there? But instead of start Tate, start Braden.
That's one of the few units on the team. And when I was looking at it and ranking them earlier before the season, I was like, man, they got pieces that they can move around. I don't see a lot of places or a lot of position units on the team that has that.
Yeah, I mean, other than maybe secondary. Not saying they're great, but there's at least athletes they can kind of try to rotate a little bit there.
I question how long can they hold up, right? I felt like offensive line can hold up throughout the season, whereas I think we're already seeing it with depth in the secondary and defensive line, where it's like, all right, you're getting thin. Where's the playmaker? Where's the heavy rotation? Who's the guy exactly? We don't know. It hasn't presented itself.
Yeah, Keontae's missed a little bit of time. Kayan Lee missed the last game. Now Champ Anthony's a little banged up. JC Hart was a little banged up early in the season, I think. So, yeah, that group's I don't know, but you hope with that group they get better as the season goes on. I mean, there's a lot of guys playing. Sylvester Smith's played a ton. Caleb Harris has played a ton and played well. So there's a bunch of reps there, as snaps there. Antonio Kite's been thrown in there a ton. He's had good and bad.
Right.
Had some gives up a touchdown, but then he'll have a pick. Like, he's kind of been up and down. But a bunch of reps there. So yeah, I don't know. It's gonna be interesting. It's gonna be an interesting game. All right. What's the vibe here? What's your score prediction? All right, I'll go first. I'm taking Auburn over 3. I think they cover. But I still think it's gonna be close. I mean, I would go, what are we at, over under 56.5? Does Auburn get to 30? Man, I think so. Like, I think they might. I think they play cleanly. I like Auburn 31. I don't know that I'd go 34. Let's say 31-24, something like that. Auburn, I think they cover, but like, it could be 24-24 going into the fourth quarter. It could be, I think it could be tight, even if Auburn plays pretty cleanly. Unless Auburn's defense shows me something we haven't seen, which is all of a sudden they stop giving up big plays, and all of a sudden they're just like, they're getting off the field at all game at the same clip they are in the second half, then they could win by more. But just going off what I've seen, Auburn's defense is going to give up a few big plays. They're going to have some moments, but they'll settle in. It's like going off what I've seen, I got to think Arkansas gets to 21, 24 points. And then I'll say Auburn at 31. It's hard to predict Hank Brown's first SEC start. They go out there and put up 38 or something. That would be awfully impressive. So I'm kind of leaning 31-24. That would pretty much put you right at the over-under and has Auburn covering.
There's just so many unknowns about this team. It's hard for me to come up with an educated guess. I figure Vegas knows more than me. They typically do. So I'm right there with you, Justin. I thought it was 3.5, but I'm going to go Auburn 30-27. And it could be where Auburn's losing. Auburn's down 27-24. They score a late touchdown. 27-23. They come back to win. Maybe Arkansas scores a late touchdown to make it appear closer than it really was. But I'm going to go with Vegas here. 30-27 Auburn.
I'm going to go with 27-24 Auburn, and that's going against my judgment because I actually do think that Arkansas might win this game, if I'm being completely transparent with you.
Would anybody be surprised if they did?
Nope.
No.
Not that they won. There might be something specifically that surprises you. I don't know. But overall, no.
I think Arkansas's numbers are great against the run, but I don't think that's any reason for Auburn not to try to run the ball and try to establish that like they should in every game they play this season because it's the strength of the team, and it helps your quarterback out. It helps everything out if your run game's going, obviously. Arkansas is going to try to make them one-dimensional, of course, and make Hank Brown beat them. So that is where I start questioning and go, I don't know how that's going to go at all. I have no idea. But I do think Auburn's ground game finds success. I don't think that Arkansas's numbers are out of proportion, but I think when that game got tight with Oklahoma State, they kind of abandoned the run, and Oklahoma State abandoned the run and went, had to make it a shootout sort of a game. They went to overtime. So I think Auburn will – I liked the game plan last week. I think they'll put that to have something similar and try to control the clock and run the ball and keep it short in front of the chains. Third and manageables. That's got to be it. You don't want to drop Hank Brown back. And listen, they respected New Mexico enough to give Hank 4 sprint out passes, which means we're not relying on protection for you to sit in a pocket. We're going to get you out of the pocket, let you throw on the run. They respected New Mexico enough to say, we're going to do RPOs where I'm telling you to get the ball out as fast as you can. That's got to happen. So that tells me that they're going to respect Arkansas's pass rush, front seven, Landon Jackson, who has not made a big impact for them yet, but has the potential to. They're going to respect that. And I think for that reason, their game plan will be good enough to win this game. I think Arkansas, what I know about Arkansas, they're good enough to win this game too. So yeah. I think it's close. I'll go 27-24 Auburn, maybe against my judgment there.
Okay.
Oh, and look, the last 2 games in Auburn have been tight. Arkansas, of course, came in here 2 years ago and beat the brakes off Auburn and ended Brian Harsin's tenure. Thank goodness.
Oh, by the way, it was 9 out of the last 11 Auburn has won against Arkansas.
Yeah, that's exactly right. That's exactly right. And then so Arkansas won in Auburn 2 years ago. 4 years ago was the Bo Nix messed up spike. Totally legit for any Arkansas fans that might be watching. That was a perfectly legit spiking of the football. Good call all the way around. But that was to the wire. So like the last 2 in Auburn have been to the wire, and Auburn got whipped. So, But yeah, 9 of 11, they've pretty much owned the series. But this is gonna be interesting, man. It's a big year for Pittman. They got to win this game too. It's a massive game for whatever they want to do. The Bobby Petrino, DJ Durkin angle is interesting. Those 2 guys are going to sort of know what they're going to do against each other. Petrino's one of the best at being balanced that I've ever seen. Like he'll go tight ends and run the ball. He'll go. Hugh's exactly right. Like he can throw all the levels. Like they're going to pose a lot of different threats. But Durkin certainly knows what he wants to try to do too. So that'll be an interesting cat and mouse game as well. Big game, 2:30, ESPN, Auburn and Arkansas. It's a must-win for this season for Auburn. it's hard to imagine them losing it and then somehow flipping a switch and winning some of these games that we're not sure about. If they lose to Arkansas, I don't know how you expect them to win some of these others. Like, it would just be completely out of the blue. So massive game for Auburn if they want to try to exceed expectations and still keep the momentum going and all that good stuff. Decent little recruiting weekend. Deuce Knight coming back, big basketball recruiting weekend. So a big day, should be great weather, a little warm, but not scalding. So it should be an awesome day on the plains. Make sure and check us out Friday, happy hour, Auburn Live happy hour. Tune in to the YouTube show 4 to 5. That'll be fun. We'll see how it goes.
Hey, don't forget, go to prospects.com/Auburn Live and use Auburn Live promo code. Receive a guaranteed $50 once you play $5 in lineups.
Boom. For the fellas, let's get out of here. AuburnLive.com. Go subscribe. Auburn Live YouTube channel. Be there as well. We'll see you guys next week.